Hey everyone, welcome back. We're back with the movement analysis video. So out of nutrition and into movement. So what is a movement analysis? What is this whole concept that I'm talking about today? And why am I talking about it before I start with the exercise videos? So the reason is because this is part of injury prevention. This is in my opinion anyways, the most important concept when it comes to exercising, because most people jump into exercise without actually knowing what a mind-body connection is. And the number of people that hurt themselves because of the lack of this is ridiculous. So that's why we need to talk about it first and foremost, so that you have something to come back to when there's an issue, when you have pain. Because when you have pain, you are not supposed to push through it. That is like the worst thing that you could possibly do for yourself in the long run. Maybe in the short term, you might have good gains. You might feel like you're doing something right. Aesthetically, you might feel great and look great. But there is a huge problem with pushing yourself too far and too much. Because if you hurt yourself to a point of no return, you're going to hate yourself. You're going to hate it. You're going to, basically, your ego will be up here and it will be down here, rock bottom, just because you fucked up.
Watch your profanity.
So that's why it's best to know what to do beforehand than to learn the hard way. But then again, you might just be the kind of person who needs to learn the hard way. I really wish I wasn't that kind of person, but at the same time, we weren't taught this in my schooling, so we weren't really taught the importance of this specific consideration. So that's why I'm talking about it today. So what is it? What is it and why is this so important? So a movement analysis is when you're doing really light work. And when I say really light, I mean 2 pounds to 5 pounds. You should not be doing much more than that. I guess if you're a little bit taller, like more than 6 foot, whatever, and you're really, really big, sure, okay, if 5 pounds feels like a light feather to you, then 10 pounds. I would never go over 10 pounds with this though. The whole point of the mind-body connection, the whole movement analysis, is to feel for what feels good and what doesn't. You want to make sure that your body feels good throughout the duration of this period. If you feel like something does not feel right, then stop. Listen to yourself. Pay attention. Honestly, you are an idiot if you carry forward. And that's why I'm releasing this video first, so that I can cover my ass when I release these exercise videos. Technically speaking, I'm not even really calling them exercise videos because I'm not just doing one specific variation of the exercise. I'm doing all of the angles, posturing, and crossover considerations to teach you about the movements that your body is capable of, and I'll also be covering the specific portion of the muscle that those specific variations work. So, why is it important? To avoid pain, to avoid injury, and to make sure that you're paying attention to yourself. Okay, so like in the last nutrition video that I did, or well, the second nutrition video, I had a triangle that I made to try to describe the balance necessary for eating and the calorie. I have a similar triangle, but this one is different because it's mainly based on muscles and the necessity for muscular balance. That is pretty much what we're aiming for figuring out when we're doing this movement analysis. So I'll put the triangle here. So we're trying to have a balance, like with nutrition. The balance here, though, that we're looking for is muscular strength, so the strength of the muscle and its ability to stabilize, your muscular flexibility, and your ability to have flexibility and mobility and range of motion in your muscles, because without that, well, I mean, you'd be stiff, you wouldn't be able to move, and you'd have, let's say, too much strength. But it could also be the opposite, where you have way too much flexibility and mobility, and not enough strength to stabilize your muscles. So you are less strong, very weak, and well, you have more uncertainty in your ability, in your movement, and yeah, usually in that case, you'd have to stop stretching. That's the thing we're pretty much trying to pay attention to, is what do we need to do and what do we need to avoid? And what do we feel good in? What is the thing that we can do more of without, well, a lack of confidence? And then there's, like I said, the muscular stability. So that is the actual, well, that's what we're aiming for. We want to be stable. We want to have no issues. So without actual balance, well, we're not going to feel good. So some of the things that we're really paying attention to, so muscular strength, flexibility, mobility, and balance, some of these symptoms that can be present in the form of chronic pain, so things that we're really paying attention to. Tightness and impingement. So if you're tight or impinged, that usually just means that maybe you need to stretch. You might even be doing an exercise too much. That's causing that impingement. Pulling, straining. Usually that's an imbalance, a muscular imbalance that is pulling too much in one direction and the other muscle cannot stabilize properly. It might even be too flexible, so it gives out, and then it causes that straining feeling where it just gives out and doesn't do its job properly. Bruising, uncertain pain, instability. So I talked about that in some of my flexibility, mobility videos. I've actually turned them into shorts so that it's a bit easier to find the topic. If you go into the flexibility, or I think it's, dynamic stretching and static stretching playlist on my YouTube channel, you can go and take a look. It's all organized. But having that usually means that you've really overdone it on the stretching and now your muscles are collapsing in on each other and causing the nerves to not glide properly and even the blood vessels to cause that bruising. So that's not good either because it causes a lot of different issues. And then dislocation. So I actually worked with someone when I was working at Rogers who jumped in the air and I think it was a jumping contest. Landed on her leg and her knee just kind of gave out. She fell, it hurt a lot. It didn't dislocate, but it was close to it. So that's why my recommendation to her was to take it easy on certain things. I couldn't really give her many recommendations or a firm recommendation just because of the fact that I hadn't worked with her before. But it's very clear to me that she had a muscle imbalance of some sort. So now acute symptom-wise, there are symptoms that are leading to the chronic pain or the bigger issue. We just don't consider it because, well, we're not really educated in that way. We don't really know it because we're not taught about it. So most people that I know can have crackling or continuously crackling joints, cracking and continuously crackling joints. If this is the case and you get it a lot, like let's say if you're moving your arm in one direction and your arm just crackles a lot while you're doing it, you might get a little bit of audio fun there. That means that you have a muscle imbalance. That means that something is pulling more than it should be in one direction and the other muscles are not pulling in the opposing direction. Or maybe it's that you have too much strength in one and not enough in the other. So that's why we have to pay attention to every tiny detail about our body while we're moving in this movement analysis. Popping noises and tingling sensations. So you could actually have blood flow, nerve pinch because of a muscle imbalance and the way that it pulls on the bones. If that happens, muscle imbalance, baby. It's all about that, the way the muscles pull on your skeletal system. Minor aches and pains in a single or multiple areas. So these are usually the things that people say no pain, no gain to, or they just ignore it completely. Don't ignore it. It's not worth it. Because, I mean, if you're ignoring something and it's something that you could potentially fix early on, I mean, it really comes down to whether or not you want to learn it the hard way. But then again, we are not educated to this. So that's why this video is coming out for free. And then this is one that I recently added because this was one that I learned later on when I was in the middle of my hypermobility overstretch injury. Cramping, muscle twitching. So when your muscles cramp, we oftentimes relate it to diet. Diet-based cramp can happen. It's not impossible, but I would say it's less likely than an overtraining cramp. So for example, I did lots of arms at some point because my arms have always been pretty small. But when I went into doing these arm exercises, I really went hammed. I went hardcore and I did way too much. And even my abs, I would oftentimes, after those really intense workouts and doing them way too often, and I'm going to talk about pronation, supination in a second, and neutral grip.
Hey everyone, this is future Eric editing, and I realized that I forgot to talk about pronation, supination. So I'm going to put a picture right here. Pronation is when the hand is facing down, so the palm is facing towards the ground. Neutral is just when your hand is in the middle position, but then supination is when your hand is facing up. Usually this does actually make a big difference when targeting a specific muscle group. I'll go into more detail on this in the overtraining, undertraining video, because this could actually result in a form of overtraining and undertraining. So anyways, back to the video.
Too much can cause the muscle afterwards to be overtorn and in a way go into a emergency response where it cramps and says, no, Eric, no more, that you're doing way too much. And that is your muscle's way, your muscle's nervous response of saying, stop, what are you doing? Stop, don't do anymore. The muscle is already torn more than what it should be. It might have also been because I had been doing a lot of training and a lot of stretching. So the two were just kind of like making my muscles collapse upon each other. And it eventually led to my big injury where I couldn't move for 3 months. And then muscle twitching. So muscle twitching can happen just because of stress, like mental stress, but also because of physical stress. If you're getting the muscle twitching, ab. I don't know if you've ever gotten the ab muscle twitching or cramping, where it hurts and it's really hard to come out of. Yeah, I mean, people overdo their abs all the time. It's a very thin muscle, and you can really overdo it because this is a muscle that stabilizes while you sit. Getting out of bed, you use your abs. You really shouldn't do the smaller muscle groups more than a bigger muscle group because of the fact that it's smaller. You have to take it easy on yourself in certain considerations, and this is one of those things that most people don't do. You could actually see better results if you do just a little bit less, a lot less. Not too much less. Obviously, you still want to do the work, but you got to be really careful. All right, so and then I have here a note. I'll post this document. This is technically speaking, this is in my intermediate program, but this is important. This is something I think you should have. So the more of a specific imbalance you may have, the more severe the symptoms and cause effect. So, I mean, if you keep ignoring it, and especially over a prolonged period of time, like you're wearing tape, you're just pushing through it, and you're just like, it's not that bad, but you're doing things kind of sort of right, but just not right enough to the point of which after like 5-10 years of your experience, technically speaking, after 10 years, you're a master. That's when the most severe type of injury can happen.
Hi again, future Eric, back with a little bit more. I only mentioned the long-term severe injury. I didn't mention the short-term severe injury though. So if you're brand new to exercise or severely deconditioned, then, basically what will happen, especially if you're doing an amount of weight that your body is not ready for or capable of working with, you will possibly break bones or tear muscles very badly, and it will take a long time to recover from. Anyways, back to the video.
So I've seen it. Someone in my gym when I was working there was doing the bench press, and he put on just a little bit more weight. I think I actually said this in a previous video, but it sticks in my head because it was scary, like really scary. He put on just a little bit more weight. He went into it, and all I heard was, his muscle, his chest was over here. It was balled up. It was just the one side. But it took him, I think, 1.5 years to fully rehab. The only problem is he's never going to do that kind of bench press ever again. That ruins a person. That takes away your passion for the sport. He obviously got back into it, but I mean, take it easy on yourself. So we'll get into the how, or when. So when, I already said, you should be doing this every 2 to 4 months. So what I mean by that is It's your transition period. It's the period of which you are going from one program to the next. Your program should only last a certain period of time, then you should stop. Then you should be thinking about how you're going to progress forward. Then that's going into the how. How are we going to do this? I usually recommend that we do all of the exercises. You don't really need to do the smaller exercises unless you think it's absolutely necessary. So like the rotator cuffs, I would actually even stay away from core work, but I mean, you can if you really want to, but keep in mind that these are smaller muscle groups. The smaller the muscle group, the less important it is on these days, on these movement analysis days. But if you really want to feel for what feels good and what doesn't, by all means, but take it really light on yourself. Don't push yourself at all. It should be in your break week, or even take a break week, and then the next week is your movement analysis week. Take 2 weeks off. I mean, it's not going to kill you. This is the problem with the current way that we teach people about movement and exercise. This is what I'm actually going to go into detail in on the next video, is that we do way too much today. Yeah, so we want to make sure that when we're doing the movement, so I'm going to go over these specific movements in the movement analysis videos, or the specific movement videos. When we're doing specific movements, what feels good, what doesn't. Write it down, and then what doesn't feel good, avoid it. Stay away from it. It's not necessary to do it all the time. Get over yourself. I think people need to hear that more often, because we don't hear it enough. We are always taught, you'll be fine, just push through it, it's your job, you have to keep doing it. We need to teach people that it is okay to take a break, and for fuck's sakes, you should be paid for it. Yeah, that is something we should start to normalize. That is something that pisses me off. And actually, I think that's the end of this video. It's as simple as that. I think that's a perfect note to end off on, because I think that's something that we should really be teaching people more often, and how to stick up for themselves. We need to actually stand up for ourselves a little bit more. That's what this movement analysis video is for. I'm going to make sure that I point this video in the direction of people who need it, and it'll probably be after every one of the videos that I do. So if you feel aches, pains, issues, movement analysis, time to take a break. And usually you'd want to avoid the thing that hurts for about, I would say, 2 to 4, maybe more months. You might want to avoid it a little longer if you really have to. It's not going to kill you. And this is the thing we need to start teaching people. So that's the end of this video. Should be probably one of the shortest videos I've ever made. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you think I missed something, by all means, add it into the comments. Let's have a discussion. And yeah, have a good one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.